So today, we're going to dive into the foundational beliefs and practices of Islam, a faith that guides the daily lives of billions of people all around the world. And when I say billions, I mean it. To give you a sense of the scale we're talking about, Islam is the world's second largest religion, with more than 2 billion followers. That's nearly a quarter of the entire planet. So, what does the word Islam actually mean? Well, the name itself really gets to the heart of it. In Arabic, Islam literally means submission to the will of God. And someone who follows the faith, they're called a Muslim. Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with the single most important belief. Then, we'll look at how that message was delivered throughout history. From there, we'll get into the core practices that shape a Muslim's life. And finally, we'll take a look at the incredibly diverse global community of Muslims today. All right, let's jump right in with the absolute foundation of the entire faith. This powerful concept of one and only one God. So this is the crucial point. Islam is what's called a strictly monotheistic religion. Now, you'll hear the word Allah, which is simply the Arabic word for God. And this is really important. Muslims believe this is the very same God that's worshipped by Jews and Christians. The belief is that this one God has no partners, no children, and no physical form.
Okay, so if God is one, how did his message actually get to humanity? Well, that brings us right to our next section. You see, in Islam, the belief is that God sent a whole series of messengers, or prophets, to guide people over time. And what's so interesting here is that Prophet Muhammad is seen as the final prophet in a very long line that includes figures you'll definitely recognize from Judaism and Christianity. Muslims respect all of these prophets deeply, but, and this is key, they don't worship any of them, and that includes Muhammad.
And it wasn't just prophets. Along with these messengers, Muslims believe God sent down divine books. So this includes the Torah given to Moses, the Psalms to David, and the Gospel to Jesus. The Quran is seen as the final, complete, and unchanged revelation that was sent to that final prophet, Muhammad. And that brings us to the central holy text itself. For Muslims, the Quran isn't just a holy book written about God. It's considered the literal, word-for-word message of God, as it was revealed in Arabic to Prophet Muhammad. It's the ultimate guide for everything from morality and law to just everyday life. So, with all that as a foundation, how do Muslims actually put their faith into practice day to day? That's where the 5 pillars come in. They provide the essential structure. Think of these 5 duties as the very foundation of a Muslim's spiritual life. They're like the framework for worship and devotion. They cover the declaration of faith, the 5 daily prayers, giving to charity, fasting during the month of Ramadan, and, for those who are able, a pilgrimage to Mecca. The very first pillar is the Shahada, and it's this simple, powerful declaration. It really wraps up the entire core belief of Islam into one sentence: the oneness of God and the acceptance of Muhammad as his final messenger. Just saying these words with genuine conviction is what makes someone a Muslim. The other 4 pillars are all about turning that belief into action. You've got Salat, the 5 daily prayers that create this direct line to God throughout the day. Then there's the Qut, which is an annual charity, a way of purifying your wealth by helping those in need. Sawm is the fast from dawn to dusk during Ramadan, which is a month for deep self-discipline and spiritual focus. And finally, there's the Hajj, a really powerful pilgrimage to Mecca that every Muslim who is physically and financially able tries to make at least once in their life. Now, those pillars are absolutely central, but the faith extends way beyond them. Let's explore how Islam is seen as a complete way of life. So, the teachings, which come from the Quran and the examples set by the Prophet, really provide guidance for all parts of life. You can see that balance here. On one hand, you have virtues that are strongly encouraged, things like justice, compassion, and modesty. And on the other, you have specific things that are prohibited because they're seen as harmful to a person or to society. Things like alcohol, pork, gambling, and financial dealings based on interest. All right, for our last section, let's zoom out and look at the followers of Islam today. It's a global community, totally unified by faith, but also incredibly diverse. Now, this is something that I think surprises a lot of people. While Islam started in the Arabian Peninsula, the huge majority of Muslims today are not Arabs. In fact, the countries with the biggest Muslim populations are actually in Asia, with Indonesia at the very top of the list. And within this global community, you've likely heard of the 2 main branches, Sunni and Shia. Sunnis make up the vast majority, somewhere around 85 to 90%. But what's really important to know is that both groups agree on all the core beliefs we've talked about: the oneness of God, the Quran, the five pillars. Their differences are mainly historical and political, stemming from a disagreement over who should have led the community after Prophet Muhammad's death. So, after all this, what's the ultimate goal? In Islam, salvation isn't just about what you believe. It's a combination. It's a path that starts with belief, but has to be followed up with consistent good deeds. And ultimately, it all rests on the mercy of God.
And we'll end with a question for you to think about. We've seen how Islam provides guidance on everything from personal ethics and family life to business and social justice. So it makes you wonder, what does it truly mean for any faith to be considered a complete way of life?